Hey everyone, I'm back again and feels like forever again because I've been running the series on self-connection in isolation, the exclusive interview series with you guys lately. So I've just been pumping those out with incredible souls from across the globe. So I hope that you guys have been getting a lot of value from those interviews and you've been gleaning it all up as I have. And today's actual message that I want to share with you guys today, it's actually inspired by yesterday's interview with the brilliant Kate Chiffey-Gray. Now, one of the things that she mentioned in that interview was that addiction is the root cause of addiction, she said, is separation. And I want to talk to you guys about this today. Very, very similar to this. You could use the word separation. For me, I felt called to use the word disconnection. So I want to talk about the concept of addiction with you guys. And it's kind of funny because in my life right now, I actually just on a minuscule addiction level, I just stopped having coffee yesterday, and it's had a huge impact on me. So I feel kind of in a daze even doing this message for you guys today. And so I'm going to use me as a bit of an example, not just, addiction to coffee that I'm overcoming right now, but look into my past and the addictions that I've had. And I want to share that with you guys in the hope that you'll be able to find yourself in it. And you'll be able to see, maybe where you may be under the grip of some form of addiction that's preventing you from stepping up in your life. All right. So if we look at what addiction is, addiction is a dependency on something else, right? Because a lot of people out there can say, oh yeah, but I have a healthy addiction to that. And I just want to clear this up for the conversation that we're having right now. I'm going to use more of a dictionary definition of addiction, which is a dependency on some sort of substance or some sort of circumstance or person or experience. And to be dependent on something is going to be an unhealthy thing, okay? Because at the end of the day, if we're dependent on something external, then we're not in control of our lives. And this very thing that creates our addictions and our addictive patterns in our life is actually a disconnection that we have from ourselves. So all of us have different thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that we're engaging in. And at the end of the day, there's different, particularly emotions and particularly thoughts that are going on within us as individuals that don't feel all that comfortable, right? And so we as a strategy, what we do is we find different things that will allow us to dull those emotions or those thoughts down. And so we have this strategy at play where we go and do this thing, or we go and have this addictive substance, or we go and, whatever our addiction is. It might be an addictive substance. It might be drugs. It might be coffee, it might be alcohol, it might be chocolate or sugar, it might be sex, it might be, any sort of addictive pattern that we play in order, it's like a strategy to go and avoid what we're feeling disconnected from, which is our emotions, our thoughts that we're trying to escape from, or, we're just having this emptiness within ourselves because our blueprint or our model of the world says that life should be different to what it is, and we don't have what those differences are. Maybe for some people it might be not having a relationship, and they really identify themselves as being in a relationship or wanting that special love, right? And we can escape from that as well. But at the end of the day, if I look back at, I'll use this as a little example right now. So with my giving up coffee yesterday, I actually just felt like, I didn't know if I felt like it was making me feel a bit ill. So I decided I'm just not going to even have coffee. And wow, like I've been in an online course for the last 2 days. I've got another day today. And yesterday was a real wipeout for me. I could barely focus. I could barely concentrate. I had to felt like I was holding my head up the whole time. I was in just this cloud and this fog. And and had this neck pain, this jaw ache, and I was thinking, wow, if this is how addicted my body has become on having caffeine, I don't want it, right? Like, I don't want this experience, and that's a real alert for me. But it's still the struggle. Even this morning, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't mind having some coffee. Maybe it would just make me feel more alert right now. And so I was kind of battling, do I have it? And I've substituted it for something better, some dandelion tea and whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm still going through this process of realizing how addicted I've been to a particular substance, and I'm feeling the repercussions of that. But I want to look at it on a much deeper level than that. And I'm grateful that I'm actually attending a course right now, which is all about going way deeper into the subconscious, into the reasons beyond and below why we think we do what we do, right? And we might think, well, having a cup of coffee, that's like very culturally acceptable. In fact, before I drank coffee, because I was very resistant to ever drinking coffee, I used to just go and have hot chocolates, and everybody would laugh at me because I'd be the only adult having a hot chocolate, right? And everybody else would be having a coffee. And so, it's kind of like having a coffee, and particularly, I live in Melbourne in Australia. It's like, the capital of all the amazing coffee in Australia, it's funny that way. And so, coffee is a large part of how we end up living our lives. And so you might think, oh, that's acceptable. That's not an addiction. That's just being a normal human being. But it's had this sort of effect on me. And going through these processes that we are in an online course that I'm doing right now, what we're actually doing is going deeper than just the substance and going, well, what is it that you believe about that? For me, it's like, oh, I believe that, coffee gives me energy, right? Gets me focused. And so we've got to look at what we're attached to in this external substance. And also, when we don't have that substance, what happens? And for me, just what we got to in going through these processes was actually there was a lot of emotion going on underneath, and it was connected to a whole bunch of different things. And when I wasn't having coffee, it actually gave this opening for this emotion to come up that I'd been pushing down and just getting on top of by, getting into action and feeling energized by having some coffee, but actually not dealing with a deeper inner sadness that was going on. And so whatever we repress and suppress, it disconnects us from ourselves. We get around life feeling like there's just something missing, or we show up and we feel a bit phony. We just feel a bit disconnected from ourselves because we're actually not allowing the full expression of ourselves. And what we do is we find these external things that allow us to have this mode of escapism from the truth of what's really going on for us, because hey, that truth might get in the way, that might get in the way of me achieving what I'm trying to achieve in the external world, or it's going to slow me down, or it's going to offend other people, or it's going to make these people not want to hang out with me, or whatever the stories that we tell ourselves are. But at the end of the day, we become addicted to these escapisms. And the reason is because we're attempting to escape those deeper parts of us that we're afraid of. But the funny thing is that darkness that resides in you, and that dark place within, it's actually only dark because there's no light shining upon it. And if you shine the light of your awareness upon what you've considered dark and scary within, you'll actually find that it transforms into a part of yourself that you'd been disconnected to, and you can reconnect with that part of you, which will make you a more whole person, so that you can get about actually living in full integrity with who you are in your external world, and you'll be free from any addictive patterns. All right. So, if I look back at different times in my life, when I was studying to become a lawyer and I'd done a business degree begrudgingly that I didn't really want to do, but I didn't know any other way, I found myself getting very addicted to escapism through sugar or through food. And I didn't feel like I was in control of that. I felt like I was just like, the moment, something I wasn't enjoying what I was doing, I'd be off to the kitchen or I'd be off to the shops or whatever. And I actually felt out of control with that pattern. That's what an addiction is, where you don't feel in control of it, where you feel it controls you. And it's not necessarily a good thing to do, right? It's not good for you, but you find yourself continuously running that pattern and going back to that and feeling bad about it or feeling guilty or whatever it is. And the thing is, I was totally in disconnection from myself. I felt empty within. So I was attempting to fill myself up, to fill that empty space up, to distract myself from having to see that darkness, right? Because it was scary. And if I actually found it and I shone light on it, I'd actually have to own a lot deeper truths, that I wasn't doing the thing that I was here to do, that I wasn't living my own life. I was attempting to live to the expectations of others, that I was just totally out of alignment and I didn't even know who I was, right? That's the scariness, right? And but at the end of the day, I actually had to get to a point of pain, so much pain in my life, that I was forced to find those answers to those questions, to actually ask myself those questions, and find a different strategy, find a different way of living my life, because the one that I was living was costing me my life, right? It was costing me my soul. I was in complete disconnection from myself. And when we're disconnected from ourselves, we find other things to distract ourselves with, as a strategy for fulfilling that, or for blinding ourselves from that enough so that we don't have to deal with it, but we end up creating destruction in our lives, where what we could be doing and what we would be the most fulfilling pathway forward is to actually shine the light of our awareness on those dark, empty places within that we feel disconnected from, to allow ourselves to actually honor and accept and acknowledge, our true emotions, what those thought patterns are, how we're operating in a limiting way that's preventing us from reaching our potential, right? And, getting clear on who we actually are, on what we actually value, on what kind of life would we be truly proud to experience and create. And those fears and that darkness are actually such fuel for you, because when you have the courage to shine the light of your awareness upon them, what happens is you actually get more in connection with what actually matters to you, to what you actually value. And you can't move forward to where you want to get to if you can't identify yourself first on the map of where you actually are. All right. So if you don't have the courage to shine light on the darkness through your awareness, you're never going to see where you are, and you're not going to know what you value, and you're not going to be able to create a vision for what would truly inspire you, because you're not going to be in connection with yourself at all. You're going to be in connection with these addictive patterns that are preventing you from going towards that which will actually set you free, but you actually feel like it's the trap, right? You're trying to escape from the very thing that will set you free. And that's why we need to look at addictions on a much grander scale than just biological. We need to look at, okay, if I'm addicted to something, where am I feeling disconnected from myself? Where's that part within myself that I'm trying to avoid, right? And remember that the very thing that we're always avoiding is the thing that will set us free, all right? So you want to be able to have the courage to shine light on the darkness. In fact, I'm in a point in my life right now where, like, I'm so aware of what I'm potentially being addicted to. Like even this instance with giving up coffee right now, I didn't know I was addicted to it, really, at the time, but the moment I pulled away from it slightly, and this is the you know, how we deceive ourselves so well, like, right? Like if we're addicted to something, we don't actually think we usually are. We're not totally conscious of it. So I invite you to test yourself out. Like I just stepped away from coffee for a day, and totally affected by not having it. And a lot of people's reactions would be, oh, give me coffee. I'm never taking that out. Like I'll take things out, but you're not touching my coffee, right? Spoken like a true addict. But because I understand that when we're addicted to things, it's because we're covering up a part of ourselves that we're not connected with. And if we're out of connection with ourselves, boy, do I know what that life looks and feels like, right? To live to the expectations of the external world rather than from the truth of who you are, which is freedom versus entrapment, right? So I would much rather identify where is it that I'm addicted to something and feel the effects of that so that I can decide for sure, never going to do that. I'm moving forward in the direction of my freedom, and I'm willing to experience short-term pain, you know, the what you go through when you get out of an addiction. You know, I'm willing to forgo that because I know what I stand to gain as a result. And to me, it's a much scarier pathway to be blind to how I'm disconnecting from myself, limiting myself, and you know, not shining that light on those fears, because your fears point towards what you value, and they give you an opportunity when you step towards them with courage to actually dissipate the hold that they have on you so that you can be the driver of your life and you can actually direct it in a meaningful way, right? Instead of, you know, getting to the end of your life and realizing you didn't really create a life that you're fulfilled by, you know, you did it for all the wrong reasons. That's a very, very lonely, disconnected experience, right? So my hope is that me sharing all of this with you guys will just remind you to look at your own life, and you know that if you're out of connection with yourself, you're creating a life that is not going to lead you into true fulfillment. All right, you're not going to reach your potential. You're not going to contribute and make a meaningful difference. You're going to be out of connection, and it doesn't matter how successful you may look on the external from anybody else's perspective. The real key is, how do you feel about your life? And most of us are so terrified of actually feeling what we truly feel about our lives that we turn to external substances or experiences or people in order to give us an escape route from actually viewing the thing we think is scary and terrifying, but actually it's your ticket to freedom and fulfillment. All right, so when you can make that shift, I guarantee you it will completely revolutionize the trajectory of your life, and you will actually set yourself free, and you'll never ever want to succumb to any more addictions, and you'll be highly vigilant and conscious about, you know, your patterns of behavior and what you may be avoiding. And every time you feel like, whoa, I'm avoiding something, it'll be an opportunity for you. You know, it'll be an exciting opportunity for you, because you'll know that you're going to uncover another puzzle piece of who you are, reconnect on a deeper level, and get further clarity and direction over the life that you're looking to create and the direction that you're wanting to move in. All right, so I'm going to jump in and check out who's been able to join me today. Hope this message has served you and resonated, and just gets you thinking about addictive patterns that you might have that you may even not be aware of. So check them out, and please do share this message with anybody that you feel it could support right now, particularly during this time, right, of this COVID-19, right? Because at the moment, what we're doing is there's a lot of fear that we're being faced with, you know, where there's a lot of uncertainty. And so what do we try and do? We try and escape, right? So we go and we're eating a bunch of crap stuff that might taste good, but it's terrible for you, you know, or we're just constantly watching Netflix or some series, or we're distracting ourselves with something else, or we're creating drama and unnecessary drama in our relationships. That's an addiction too, right? It's an escapism from the real truth of your problems. And your problems don't remain problems when you shine light on them. They become your opportunities to create fulfillment in your life, right? That's just the truth. So, anyway, I'm going to check in with you guys, okay? Because you know me, I could go on, and yeah, like I said, this, you know, coming away from, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think properly. But the withdrawal symptoms that I'm having from removing coffee from my life right now, like, oh, it's just crazy, like how blurred I feel right now. So definitely on the path to remove that totally. So Rana's here, hello, and Michael's here, and Julie and Judy, and Attic, good to see you, much love, and Carlos and Linda and Rana, much love to you, and Rich, you have to get to the deeper component before you can bridge the gap. Absolutely. You know, so I'm putting out a post later on today because I've been doing a bit of writing around this one, which will give you guys a bit more clarity over how to do that, right? So we have to get, you know, that deeper component, like you're saying there, Rich, you know, because at the end of the day, if we just stay up in the surface, there's no point in changing. There's no reason to change. But if we actually use, you know, our patterns of behavior on the surface to point deeper to an underlying cause, you know, that is our ticket towards freedom and our growth, right? We've got to have awareness so that we can transform, so that we can get about living a life to our highest potential and contributing at our highest potential as well. So yeah, I will put some details out for you in that post coming out, you know, probably tonight, my time. So love that, Rich. And Matt's here, and Angie and Lucy and Jay and Lisa and Paul. Hey Lisa, how you doing? I'm doing well. And Kurt's here. Great info. I'm struggling with Coca-Cola and chocolate. Yeah, absolutely. Right? So sugar and caffeine, you know, they're two of the major ones. So what I'd ask you to do, Kurt, is to really look at, you know, identifying what those things are doing for you, and identifying what they're covering up. And one of the greatest ways to identify what they're covering up is to actually go cold turkey on them, to remove them from your life and see what actually comes up. And it's a hell of a journey, right? Like, it's not comfortable at all, but you know, it might be short-term pain for what you stand to gain in the long term. All right, so look out for my post later on today that I'll put out, because I detail what to do. So thanks for sharing that, Kurt, and I'm with you on that. And you know, we've just got to realize that whatever we know we're doing that's not healthy for us, right? And we're addicted to it. So for you, Kurt, great example, Coca-Cola chocolate, right? We've got to look at, you know, that is us attempting to fulfill a void within ourselves. So what is that void? What is that disconnection? Because when you become connected to who you are, you're not being addicted. You know, you don't have these addictive patterns. You're actually in full connection. So there's nothing you're trying to fulfill or escape, because you're aware of what's going on within yourself. So anytime we're doing that, it's definitely just to realize that we're out of connection with ourselves. So what is that emptiness? What are we afraid to face? Go deeper, ask some great quality questions. And when we face our fears, they alert us to what we value and what matters most. And we can create a vision for ourselves that we'd be truly proud of manifesting and creating in our lives. All right, so love that, Kurt. And Too's here as well, and Lucy is here. Lovely to have you. And Phil's here, and Edgar, sending love from Chihuahua, Mexico. Much love right back at you, my friend. And Lucy, this pandemic has really shone light on those patterns and forcing the push out of bad habits. Absolutely, Lucy. You know, it's pushing people towards creating addictive patterns because they don't know how to actually deal with their emotions, with their thoughts. They're out of control. They're feeling that sense of disconnection. And it's also, waking us up to what our bad habits have been and are. All right. So absolutely, Lucy. Kurt, you're so welcome. And Lucy, staying in bed and not quick to get the day going because I don't have to. Yeah, absolutely, Lucy, this is a great one. Anytime we want to stay in bed rather than live our life is a really great indicator that we haven't created a vision for our lives that's in total alignment with what matters most to us. So why would we get into life? Right? There's nothing more inspiring. There's nothing inspiring in our life. A lot of people would rather stay in their dreams than create their dreams in reality because they don't have clarity. They don't have something pulling them up. So I think it's a really great indicator when we want to leap out of bed in the morning. That's a great indicator that we're creating a life that we're inspired by, and when we don't want to get out of bed in the morning, it's really a great indicator that we don't have the vision. So what we want to do, we don't want to live our life asleep, right? We want to wake up. We want to get up and get going and create and connect and create meaning and memories and experiences. And so I really love that you shared that with us, Lucy, because it's something that we can all get caught up in, and myself included. A week or so ago, when I was sharing with you guys, I was getting into this disillusionment and disheartenment with different people that I was inviting into my life, and it made me get to a point where I just didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. Right? Normally, this morning and every morning usually when I'm on point, like I'm up at 5 a.m. and right now the sun's not even coming up until 7 a.m. So I've got like 2 hours of darkness I'm even getting up in. And that's because I'm inspired by what I'm doing with my day, what I'm creating in my life, but at other times, like I did a week or two ago, not wanting to get out of bed, that was a great indicator for me to go, whoa, where am I not connecting with myself? Why am I allowing abusive people into my life, right? Why am I sacrificing my needs and my truth and my health for these external circumstances? I really had to look at that, and I really had to reconnect with myself, and I had to make some difficult, challenging decisions that would allow me to realign with who I am and what I'm here to do and create vision that pulls me out of bed rather than getting out of bed being a push. All right, so love that you shared that, Lucy. And you'll like my post that I'm putting out later on today as well with that. And Edgar, this week I've been working my addiction and found out that I'm addicted to my inner dialogue, which makes me create histories and loops. So this message resonates absolutely with me. Oh my gosh, Edgar, what an awesome realization that you've had. And I do resonate with that quite a lot because I can tend to overanalyze things and dissect things and get fascinated by doing that. But what we've got to do is realize where it's an escapism, so, like you're saying, that inner dialogue, our inner dialogue can be powerful, it can be healthy, but like you're saying, which is super awesome that you've made this realization, is that you've realized that connection to your inner dialogue has become an addiction where you're creating histories and loops that aren't serving you. So my question would be for you to answer is, what am I trying to avoid? What emotion am I trying to avoid? Because I definitely, when we get into that overthinking, it's usually connected to our escapism from our true, deeper emotions around something. All right. So an inner truth. So what deeper truth am I too afraid to acknowledge? Right? And I've been using this addictive pattern to overcome it or to escape from it. But just remember, you want to go deep because that's where your freedom and your liberation is. All right? So that's awesome, Edgar. I so appreciate you sharing that. And Bobby's here as well. And Lucy, proud of you to realize that coffee has become an addiction and you're willing to let it go. Absolutely. You know, and for me, I was like, I'd realized, I think that I didn't want to have as much coffee. I felt like I'm having a bit too much coffee here, you know, and I realized that. And then I was like, yeah, but I really like a hot drink, right? And so I hadn't found a substitute for it. And then I found a substitute. I decided I'm not having that yesterday. And I had this beautiful dandelion tea, which has 0 sugar, and it's got all these nice like cinnamon and cardamom and kind of like a chai flavor to it, but it's not a flavor, it's all natural. And it's just like I'm using that instead, so I get my hot drink, you know, but I'm not having the caffeine, and I am going through withdrawal symptoms right now. I'm struggling even creating this message for you guys today. And yeah, Lucy, I have lemon water every morning as well. I usually have lemon water and then have a coffee, but now I'm not having the coffee, I'm having something else. So I love that. And Lewis, awesome to see you. You amazing human being, you. So that is my message for you guys today. I hope that it serves you. I feel so cloudy and so foggy, so I'm coming to you right in the midst of my giving up of my addictions. And I hope that today's message just gets you to think a lot deeper than just the biological aspect, just the physiological aspect of addiction, and actually look at how are you disconnected from yourself? What is the deeper truth that you're terrified to face? And just remember, every deeper truth is a ticket towards your freedom, all right, and your fulfillment, all right? So love that. And Lucy, you got me on the lemon water. So good. Oh, that's so good. I love that you're still doing that. And thank you so much, beautiful. So appreciated. So as always, guys, I'm sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you to wherever you are in the world today. I really do hope that it's beautiful, amazing, and extraordinary, that you're doing something super empowering, and today's message has definitely served you. And just for those who are joining me now, I can see you've just joined Lynn. I hope you guys catch the recording, get a ton of value from today's message. And Lucy, you're so welcome, beautiful soul. And Kurt, great job quitting drinking coffee. Thanks, guys. I actually really appreciate the support and the encouragement, and I'm holding myself accountable to you guys, because I only quit it yesterday. And like I said to you today, I was like, do I just have a little bit of coffee? Maybe it'll just take the edge off, right? And then I'm like, oh, that's what an addict would say, right? Just stop it, all right? And let whatever those deeper truths and emotions are for me to come up to the surface, so that I can actually grow and progress and get deeper clarity over who I am and where I'm going. And that's the kind of life that I want to live. I'm sure you guys do as well. And Lewis, the warm lemon water is great, but be careful of the teeth. You know what? That's another thing, Lewis. Yeah, my dentist actually told me to stop having lemon water because, yeah, it can be erosive to your teeth. So good to have a straw for all of us out there, because the point of lemon water is it becomes alkaline when it reaches our stomach, but it's very acidic beforehand. So it can be very acidic in our mouth, on our teeth. It's quite damaging. You're spot on there. But, you know, want to get the benefits, find another way, just like having a straw or something like that. So you've got to be careful. Love that. And Lisa, you are so welcome, beautiful soul. Always great to have you live. Thanks so much to each and every one of you guys who could join me, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow.